Hey there, podcast listeners, and welcome to the Principled Uncertainty Podcast. I am your host, Tyler, and joining me tonight are Jeremy.
Hello.
Tommy.
Yo.
And, of course, the co-creator with the mostest, Bernstein.
Good evening.
Hey, yo, let's get right into things and talk about what we've been playing. So, Bernstein, what you been playing these days, guy?
I've been playing Spelunky. It's a pretty fun game you may have heard of.
Are you doing the daily challenges?
Oh, yeah, that's pretty much all I do. I have been playing a little bit of a game called Distance, which is a racing game put out by a Digipen group. You can still get the free kind of version of the game called Nitronic Rush, which is pretty good, pretty enjoyable. I've been playing the beta for Distance, and I'm liking it. I'm not in love with it as much as I'd like to be, but it's still a beta. We'll see how it goes.
What kind of game is it? I haven't heard anything about this game.
It's racing. It looks a little bit like it's set in a Tron world. My favorite thing about the Nitronic Rush, it's a little bit kooky, and there's sort of a flying mechanic in the racing game. It overheats you, so you can't fly too much. But I really loved exploring sort of the landscape, which is sort of like a city, sort of like a Gotham sort of like silhouette sort of look. Not very detailed, but this kind of reminds me of like of Gotham City.
Yeah, like in Googling it, like it definitely looks like something from Tron. It reminds me of one of the games that is free on the PlayStation Network this month. I can't remember what it's called, but it's kind of like
TKXY or something weird like that.
Yeah, it has like a two. It has a 2 in it of some sort, but it's only out for PS4, so I don't have one yet. And I just sort of like looked at it and was like, "That looks cool. Never mind."
Well, Distance is fun. I'm looking forward to more maps. I'm excited that it has Steamworks. It's kind of kooky. It has mechanics like there are buzzsaws, and if you can get cut in half, and so
can you still drive after that?
Yeah, it's a little bit more difficult.
Which way? Which way are you talking?
Yes, in any way.
Cool.
Quarter. I mean, there are lasers as well. You can, and what will happen is there are sort of save points along the track, and once you hit that save point, it both undoes your heat, resets the heat, and your car regenerates. It's again kooky, kind of the word I would use.
But you're not like a racing game guy either?
No, I'm not. I only like one race car game, and that's Burnout Paradise. And so I like this one. I just feel like at this point, like the maps aren't quite there. There's no real multiplayer. It exists. I've tried to join a map and got kicked out right away, so that was fun. I think that the game has a lot of potential. I like the way it feels. I like how kooky it is. Even with the buzzsaws, if you hit the wrong angle, you'll just explode instead of being cut in half.
For me, it looks like a really hyped up F-Zero. Like if F-Zero were made today, that's kind of what it looks like to me. Like if I'm just thinking the aesthetic style.
I would recommend it. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say it's like F1, the sequel to F-Zero.
Oh, math jokes. Yeah.
So I would just say if anyone is in any way interested, take a look at the trailer for it. It's pretty fun. Pretty good music. The other thing I've played is I played the next to last episode of The Walking Dead Season 2. I haven't played the last episode yet.
I've heard some mixed things about that. I listened to the Joystick podcast, and the one, for lack of a better term, the woman who's on there, I can never remember names on that podcast. I don't pay attention to that, but she said she didn't really like the latest episode, the most recent. Are you on? Is that the third one you've played?
No, the most recent is actually the final episode.
Right.
I haven't
but you're only playing through the third.
4, I think, is the next to last episode.
What's your take on it?
So I'm gonna put bunny ear quotes around the word joke. A few weeks back, the Walking Dead Season 2 is sort of a reimagining of The Walking Dead Season 1, but if it was remade, is not great. So I would say that I definitely get some of the criticisms of The Walking Dead Season 2, and I don't care as much about the story. Like, it's not going to leave a sad little place in my heart like the first one did. But that said, the minute-to-minute interactions I find good. Like I think that it's made well. I think the interactions are good, just that the interactions aren't as meaningful as the first season.
Yeah.
I didn't expect them to be though,
I
but I'm enjoying it.
I made the mistake of playing the first episode on PlayStation 3. I wasn't able to recover my save from my previous PlayStation that I had, so I've had to take whatever decisions they gave me. And I bought the first episode and played it, and then I bought the whole season on Steam. And so I haven't come back to it because I don't want to play through the first episode again. I'm just dreading that.
I think it's good. I think that they made a weird decision, which actually typically I hold against the Walking Dead universe. Comic book not included, but specifically the TV show.
Putting Sonic in that game really did mess it up.
But there's so many damn rings, and the zombies don't give a fuck about it. But
also, the top-down perspective just doesn't work.
There's a specific complaint I have about the Walking Dead TV show that I don't want to say now.
It's boring.
Kind of ruin. Well, okay. There's another complaint that I have about the Walking Dead TV show. That the game falls into season 2, but I felt like it actually pulled off the landing. I felt like it actually is working for me in a fairly significant way.
Cool. Jeremy, what are you doing these days, gaming wise or TV book wise?
Well, I actually picked up after watching the. I'm sure you're going to bring this up later. After watching the trailer for the prequel of Borderlands, pick up Borderlands 2 again because I never finished it. So I'm a couple hours in from starting over. I'm
gonna do that too because I got it on from PlayStation Plus and also played that on my last PS3. So that's a game that I'm like every time I see it, I'm like, oh man, I want to do that again. That game's fun. So what do you think of it?
Tyler, have you not finished Borderlands 2 either then? Or
no, I never finished it. I think like 15 hours in or something. I struggled early on with the snow stuff. I think I said that on the podcast at some point, but I liked it, but my PS3 died, so I kind of gave up on it. But I love the Borderlands series. It's one of those things where I could see myself playing one every other year. Like, oh man, I like this world.
So Jeremy, you said you're a few hours into it?
Yeah, I'm only a couple hours in. I just restarted it just the other night. So,
how are you enjoying it?
I love it. I mean, I've always liked that cell shaded animation. It just looks very, very pretty. They do a really good job with it. And I'm pretty excited that the prequel that's coming out is going to be for 360 as well. They're not pushing it up to next gen yet. So
are you a guy like? Do you like the humor? Are you like a loot guy? Did you play a lot of Diablo or anything? Or is it just the world that you like, the visual style?
It's the visual side. I mean, I really haven't gotten dug too deep into it, like one way or another, as far as if I'm looting or not. I'm just kind of playing through the story right now.
Well, I think one of the things that the Borderlands series gets the best is just the audio-visual feedback loop on what it feels like to shoot a gun. Like the guns just feel wonderful.
And then throw a gun when it's out of bullets.
That's true. I remember Gersman and some of the Giant Bomb folks saying that they didn't
ding,
think
ding, 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 ding. Sorry.
That Borderlands, yeah, that's right.
Every week.
Every week. But I remember them complaining they didn't think the guns felt great in Borderlands, and I think that they are crazy.
Yeah, I do too. Especially, sniper rifles, especially to me. I played the entire first game just as I think I've even played the soldier class, but with sniper rifles, and the sniper rifles in that game play so super well. Like just the feeling, the weight, the sway, like if something's far away, just the way that it sways and you have to wait for just the right moment to pull the trigger. I love that kind of stuff in that game. And man, numbers popping off of people, that's always going to be fun for me. Like super fun.
I've got like around 70 to 100 hours in Borderlands 2. I liked it a lot.
Did you play a lot of co-op? Is that where you're getting all those hours in, or?
I preferred single player because whenever I co-opted, I was always rubber banded by someone who was way ahead of me, and I kind of just ran through the scenery versus enjoying it. The game is just huge. I played it through twice.
I never. That's why I never played the Resident Evil 5 co-op. Or any Resident Evil co-op is because usually when you jump into a game, you get, I like how you said, rubber banded to someone who's just played through it like a million times and just go through and shoot things and steal everything. And I felt that similar thing in Borderlands. But yeah, that game I love that series. I can't wait for the pre-sequel. I guess I'm not like a lot of gamers in that I don't feel very precious about my series, and I'm not like, oh man, it has to stay true to what it is and let that sort of thing. Like if it's fun enough, I will play another BioShock game. I know that that's not shocking to anybody, but Like that sort of, if I enjoy the experience of the world and the thing that they have created, it's kind of like a TV show that if you have a really great director set a visual style and like a tone for the series, it's easy to just watch it. And so I feel the same way kind of about video games. Like if they can kind of follow what Ken Levine does or what Gearbox does, I'm okay with it.
I want to ask though, so since it sounds like there's unanimous Borderlands interest on this call.
Here we go.
Are there? I don't think it's anything that momentous, but how did the humor strike you in Borderlands 2? Because I know it took a lot of flack for being kind of groaners. So what did you guys think about kind of the comedy aspect of the dialogue and stuff?
Guys?
I guess I wonder what people came to it expecting. Like I expected it to be corny. I played the first game.
I thought the first game was filled with groaners too.
Yeah.
Like I enjoyed Tiny Lisa or whatever. Tiny
Tina.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
I liked her. Like I actually thought she was kind of fun, though I understand why people didn't. Otherwise, I expected it to be a corny, weird universe where I kill a mass amount of people. It didn't bother me. How about you, Jeremy or Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, it didn't bother me either. I mean, you kind of go in there. I mean, even with the opening cutscenes, you're like, well, it's not a game that's taking itself seriously anyway. Mm-hmm. So, and there are a couple of jokes where you're like, okay, thanks, Dad, appreciate that. Cool. But yeah, it doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah,
it's like feeling like the movie Airplane's a bit too on the nose.
Yeah.
Ooh, also a plane-related pun. It is.
No, totally. Yeah.
I also never felt like. I'm with Jeremy in that most games take themselves entirely too seriously. I am playing through the 6th named Resident Evil game, and so one of the big problems with that game is the level to which it both does and does not take itself seriously. And so I like that Borderlands is like, to hell with it. Let's just have a good time, like Saints Row. Some of the jokes in Saints Row are really stupid, but I love them for their stupidity.
So.
Yeah,
you just want to pinch their little cheek.
The difference is, like, I would love to see a Borderlands written by the Saints Row team, because the Saints Row team does dumb better than anyone else does dumb. I feel like Borderlands is kind of like, who wrote The Man in the High Castle? Like a Philip K. Dick novel, but set in some like insane other world, even beyond like Philip K. Dick. So like if you took A Scanner Darkly and mixed it with something that's like the Farrelly brothers, that's what Borderlands reminds me of, and I love it. Like that's something that very few other games have managed to pull off.
I could see like the Telltale Borderlands like hitting that Philip K. Dick Man in High Castle kind of vibe.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that as well. I want to play The Wolf Among Us and also the rest of the season 2 of The Walking Dead. I don't know if it's just the lingering dread from the first season in 400 Days, but that stuff They brought up the end of the first season of The Walking Dead on the Joystick podcast, and I just had a melt. Can't handle it. Bad stuff.
It's good that they're episodic because they drop so many bombs on you in that format.
I played episodes 4 and 5. I think I waited it out, and I played 4 and 5 just through at the same time, or like within a week of one another, because I finished 4 up like the week before 5 came out, and just plowed through them in the morning and had the shades drawn, and I had to like open the shades and go outside and be in the sunlight for a while because it was just so dark, literally and figuratively. So, Jeremy, you playing anything else besides Borderlands 2?
No, I have my life kind of sucked away for the past week and a half by The Simpsons. That marathon just stayed on in my house.
How did that work out for you?
It went well. I mean, the beginning, of course, is where everybody was tuned in because it was those first 8 or 9 seasons that everybody remembers and loves.
Yeah.
But it was kind of cool to just kind of turn it on and have it running in the background and to, tune in and out of it in the later seasons because it's stuff I hadn't seen before. And, a lot like, Borderlands. I mean, it's just those jokes where you're like, all right, we get it, but it's still kind of a chuckle. And by the way, with Borderlands, I think I'll get more enjoyment out of it now that I know that some guy that, if some corny joke comes up, I know some guy out there is writing an online diatribe about it, losing his mind over it. I just gonna be like, man, I'm going to laugh harder at this joke just because of that.
Well, as far as The Simpsons goes, where did you start to tune out? I'm always interested that instead of asking like, if you like The Simpsons or not, where where did you start to tune out on The Simpsons? Where does it start to go sour for you? Because everyone seems to have that.
I would say, me and my friend Sheets talked about this the other night. I think he had it about right. Somewhere between seasons 8 and 10, it started to not be so awesome. But I think that's also around the same time that I started actually getting out of my house and doing shit. I wasn't stuck.
Yeah.
So, working and, just hanging out with friends and stuff like that. So I don't think it was by choice, that I was just like, oh, this show sucks. But I just kind of was never around on Sunday nights. So that's kind of just fell off the map for me.
It's also kind of like your senses got pulverized by it over time. Like, holy shit, I feel like I've seen there is a sense of deja vu that goes with watching The Simpsons that is like irreparable now. Like if I sit down and watch a new episode, I'm like, I've seen, like, there's something about this I have seen before in some adjacent universe. So I feel the same way. Like I lasted a little while longer. I think I started to tune out in 2003 or so. So I watched a lot of The Simpsons.
So did I. I mean, it premiered in December of '89 was its premiere date, and I mean, so like you add 10 years to that. That's, hey, I'm at driving age and I'm working now, and I just it made sense to me.
I remember and before we move on, like I remember my first Simpsons memory being of going to a guy's house I didn't like at all because he bullied me all of the time. He was like 3 years older than I was, but his mom and my mom are friends.
Did he have a distinctive laugh that he would say whenever he did bullying things to you?
Yes, it was ha ha. It wasn't that, but they kind of had Fox, but every time I went over there, it didn't work. So I'd have to hang out with this guy in his house, and he'd just pick on me just unmercilessly for hours, and I'd endure that so that I could maybe catch a glimpse of a snowy few minutes of The Simpsons because I was obsessed with it.
Wow.
That was in a time where you could be obsessed with something and never see it. Like, because of commercials and just the pop culture surrounding The Simpsons, that's what I was obsessed with it even before I saw the TV show on a consistent basis.
My first Simpsons memory is that I wasn't allowed to watch it for a real long time because I was 8.
Yeah, true. I just kind of thought Bart was disrespectful.
Yeah, he was. That's why he was cool.
Well, we got into an interesting discussion about how Bart and it probably reflected our age more than anything. I mean, you kind of related to Bart because he was almost like how I put it, like your Stone Cold Steve Austin, I guess.
Yeah,
because he was the one that's being the smart ass. He was doing all the stuff that you thought about doing, but you never did because you were a sane person.
Right.
As you got older, now you kind of relate more to Homer, and Homer kind of turned from focusing on Bart and kind of turned to focusing on Homer now, and he's more of the face than Bart was at one point, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. So Tommy, I see you are playing the Borderlands before Borderlands was Borderlands game, it seems. So tell us a little bit about your experiences with what you've been playing.
Yeah, so Blizzard games had this tendency before BattleNet sort of let you register what you had and re-download it, where you would purchase Blizzard games over and over and over. Like I've probably purchased Diablo 2 like 3 or 4 times,
of
like
course.
The whole thing. Because you walk by it in Target and you're like, $19. I can't find my CD key.
Yeah, or like that giant case that they used to sell in Best Buy. That was like Diablo 2, like and all the expansions.
The battle chest.
Yeah.
The battle chest, exactly. And they got a lot of my money that way. And so like I said I'd never do that again because BattleNet started letting you, actually re-download it once you entered the key. And then I bought Diablo 3 for the PS4 after playing it on the PC, and I'm like so lost and in a dark place now.
So wait, you have a PS4 and an Xbox One?
Yes.
I did not know that.
I know I'm a unicorn that way.
Instantly jealous. I
told you
jealous.
how this happened, right? There was just one day where my wife just had enough and she was like, all right, we're doing it. And she just ordered an Xbox One. And then one day she was like, all right, I had enough. And she got a PS4 as well.
Man, to live in that household.
What did she have enough of?
Not having them?
Yeah.
Okay.
That
was the only real question there. I wasn't sure what problem that solved.
Tell me your secrets, please.
I wish I understood.
No, that's kind of amazing. How long ago was this that you got the PS4? So that's why I've been always talking about the Xbox One, because I thought that was your system. I thought you were joining in those ranks, and that
Oh, it's like the gift of the Magi. I thought that was your system. I'm just kidding. No, we've had it since launch, I think.
Oh wow! So it wasn't very.
Wait, he said lunch.
Oh,
Since lunch.
So
Yeah,
since today. So I got Diablo 3, but for the 360, and I think it's probably sitting in the mailbox today because I got it via GameFly. So I will definitely be willing to talk some Diablo 3 next week. But as of now, as of this moment, I have never played a moment of Diablo at all.
Really?
Yep.
Just clear your schedule because like it's I don't know. There's something about it that like
loot.
There is that. Yes, loot is about it. But like they do this like, and you know, you hate that term, the gameplay loop, but the gameplay loop for that game is just so short and so renewable, and like you just the addiction, it's back again.
Well,
and
I mean,
everyone just sells and talks about about the loot itself, and there's no doubt that that's what it's about. But that's not all that sells that game. Like I haven't played Diablo 3, but I've spent quite a bit of time in Diablo 2. It just feels right. It just simply feels good.
Once you get your series of spells in order, and you kind of, I don't know, just once that's in order, it feels right. And like, you just kind of keep
like it feels
back.
fun to try to compare like one badass sword to another or what have you.
Yeah.
But if that was all the game was, it would be a football management dungeon crawler.
Right, exactly.
And that's not all that it is. And
so the reason I posted this this phone photo full of really obscure statistics in the doc is because I obtained this weapon that is I don't know how to explain this other than just saying it summons an army of murderous cows with spears.
That is awesome.
And so what else do you need me to tell you about Diablo 3?
Do you get that from some super secret world that you managed to get into? Isn't that the cow world or something?
No, not anymore. Yeah. There was the legendary cow level of Diablo 2.
For the PS3 PS4 version, now the mysterious level would be the Last of Us level.
Wait, what?
That's one of the mystery levels.
Like The Last of Us, like The Last of Us, Last of Us?
Yes, there are clickers.
Really?
And do you? For fear of being too on the nose about this, you click them, correct?
I would assume.
Since you click everything else, I would assume that you would click the clickers.
Now, the clicker in question is a controller versus a mouse. So, is it still a clicky clicker if you are simply pushing a button?
Well, so you're kind of neutralized my joke for later, but I have a controller in my hand, and let's test it out. I'll hold it to the mic. How's that sound?
That sounds pretty good.
Indeed.
Pretty clicky.
Pretty neato.
Yeah, I know there's a Last of Us level. and there's also other secret levels.
I did not know that. I have not played the expansion level that comes with the console version, but I just got there tonight. I opened up that part, so if it's cool with you guys, I'm just going to play it while we record.
Yeah, that's
I'm pretty sure
totally.
I can multitask and give you my full undivided attention for the rest of the show.
So for you, what is the difference between? So for you, what is the difference between playing it on PC and playing on console? Like, God, Tommy, hey, we're trying to podcast here. This is a professional. We're professionals.
Just kidding.
Like, what's sort of the difference for you between playing the PC and the controllery version?
I don't know. The Blizzard's really the master of kind of like knowing their medium. So and kind of iterating and refining something through playtesting or whatever.
For years upon years upon years.
Oh my God, yeah. Like you can see their stuff they seem to have learned in World of Warcraft applied here, and layout wise, it's a completely different game. Like just for all the menus and what have you. But I mean, other than that, it's the same content. All the spells, all the trees, all the incredible cinematics that Blizzard rewards you with when you complete something. It's awesome.
I like that you wanted to include the detail that it also had trees.
Oh yeah. Oh, sorry, I meant skill trees, but regular trees.
No,
okay.
It also sounded like I knew what you were talking about, but it also did like no, it's not just hell. There's also trees. So obviously
they fucking put trees in this game.
Sickest trees.
Are you playing anything else besides cow summoning Diablo games?
And if you had played Diablo ever, you would not have asked that question.
I will be over the coming week. So weeks.
I did at your behest play. So I tried to play Super Time Force.
I didn't mean for you. Like that game's going to be free this month, right?
No, yeah, it's free now.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew that Monaco was, so I downloaded Monaco, but I did not know that Super Time Force was. I thought it was. So they must have changed the model so that it's not just the 1st and the 15th anymore.
They must have, because I knew that Super Time Force was free. I wasn't sure if Monaco was still free or not.
Jeremy,
I played almost through the tutorial, and it's pretty good.
Jeremy, have you abandoned your 360 yet, or do you still have it?
I still have it. I mean, that's what I'm playing Borderlands 2 on right now. So
dude, if you are a gold member, please check out Super Time Force, and we can talk about it next week because that game is apparently pretty amazing.
Yeah, I'm not a gold member anymore.
Ah, dude. Well, so what did you think, Tommy, of the demo?
Well, again, I am the expert on it because I did play almost through the tutorial. So,
so what do you almost think about it?
I think I almost understand the controls and stuff. So,
well, yeah, once you start to unlock characters and things, like it gets pretty insane. The sort of bullet hell that you have to jump through.
So, are some of these characters that are in this game like straight up? Like, is that the guy from Dinosaurs, the sitcom?
No, but it's sort of it. What is his name?
It's a spiky-headed dinosaur. No, the kind of teenage boy character.
It's definitely very close to copyright violation. Like so in Super Time Force, you play as members of the Super Time Force. Also, there's a dinosaur that you play as that rides a pretty rad skateboard and wears Hawaiian shirts, which is reminiscent of the TV show Dinosaurs. So
yeah, I having gotten through the tutorial, I really appreciate the humor in it so far. It seems very, very funny.
It also seems like it plays pretty tight. So that's the thing I'm looking for. And that's what I love about the current crop of games is that there are some pretty tightly controlled sort of side-scrolling games that are reminiscent of the things that I love, like Ninja Gaiden and Contra. Right. So, like the game that I want to play Super Time Force, but I also want to play Shovel Knight, which I haven't gotten a chance to. Have any of you played Shovel Knight yet?
No.
Bernstein, have you played Shovel Knight? Or
I have not. The descriptions honestly don't interest me. Just the way people talk about the sort of hardcore, old school mechanics. That said, I'm sure if and when I play it, it's probably great. I mean, people fucking love it.
I watched the quick look on Giant Bomb today. Ding 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 ding, and it looks pretty great, especially if you like games like Mega Man or Castlevania.
Yeah, Mega Man's the comparison I've heard, and I've only played like 2 hours of one Mega Man game.
Yeah, it is close enough that you will see allusions to it. It sort of has the visual style of Castlevania, but sort of the mechanics of Mega Man, it looks like. So
never played a Castlevania game.
Oh man, missing out. It looks great. I'm going to wait for it to go on sale because $15 for a game that looks like it could go in an NES is too much for me right now. So that's a game that I am pining for, but am not going to play because I have all these games on a PC and just bought a gaming PC. So I'm sort of itching to start playing all of the games that I haven't been able to play since I only had a Mac until like 4 hours ago.
PC gaming's dead now. You kind of waited too fucking long.
Oh, damn it.
Yeah, it's all apps now, man.
Damn it. I actually did download the MOBA that that Drew Scanlon talked about on the giant
iPad,
on the iPad, but on the Bombcast that shall not be named. Because I don't.
You mean the one called the Bombcast?
The one called the Bombcast that shall not be named.
No, we weren't saying
Sask Bomb. Freedom. I don't remember what it's called, but I almost played that.
Fates Forever.
Fates Forever, yeah. Something so I knew it was an F something. So
yeah, I played a little bit of that.
Did you? What do you think?
Yeah.
Not Dota.
I mean, I was surprised that. Well, first off,
didn't we talk about it last week? Didn't you say like, oh, it's not please leave, sort of like?
No, I don't think it was this. I think it was something else.
I think it was Team Fortress 2, TF2.
Yeah. Well, I was surprised at how readily you were able to kind of translate those controls into a touch environment, I guess. But I don't know. I didn't get into any like hardcore, playing against people matches. I was afraid. I've been hurt before.
Of course you have, because that game is so utterly brutal. So I haven't really been playing anything interesting. I'm still playing Resident Evil 6, and I still think that game is not as heinous as everyone makes it out to be. There are parts of it that are bordering on super fun, for at least for me, but I'm also sort of in the tank for that series.
Well, Tyler, you spent the big bucks to get a PC gaming machine. What do you want to play on the PC? What are you excited about playing? Looking
I
forward to
got a
playing
copy of Ultimate Doom if you need it.
Yeah, I could do that. I think I still have my copy of Ultimate Doom somewhere.
Ooh, I may have a spare copy of Surgeon Simulator if you don't have that.
I do. Actually, I do have that game. Okay. That's a game I want to play. I downloaded. I want to finish up Outlast. It was malfunctioning on the last PC I tried to play it on, so I didn't quite finish it. So I'm going to play that. Shank, I'm a big fan of Mark of the Ninja, so even though I've heard that Shank's kind of underwhelming, I want to play that. I can't think of everything else at the moment, but I re-downloaded.
So you're going for like the high graphic fidelity here with your choices.
There's a Minecraft-esque game called The Forest that I did an interview for Bloody Disgusting, and that game could barely run on the last PC I played on. That game's even on my new machine, it kind of chugs. I have to cut it down to like medium to be able to play it. So that's.
I wonder if they've built a game into it yet.
That I don't think so. It's right now. It's just like running around with a machete and doing nothing. I can't think of anything else. Like a lot of previous games that I never played. Like I never played Arkham Asylum, and I want to play that. So that might be a game that I end up playing soonish. But I have my plate sort of full because I have Diablo 3 coming, and I'm finishing up Mass Effect, the first one. So there's that. But I looked at my catalog. I have my library. I have 256 games on Steam.
Wow. That's dumb considering you weren't really playing PC games. That's great.
I know. It's
no judgment.
Stupid. It's pretty dumb. I also played about a half hour of Braid tonight, and I have never played that game, so that might be a game I finish up. And it looks beautiful on my television. I hooked the PC just directly into my TV, and nice. That game looks amazing, and it reminds me of, I think, either the first or second episode of the Principled Uncertainty podcast, where Bernstein, you were like, you said that, people will be talking about Braid for years to come. That's like the Super Mario Brothers of this generation. I was like,
and you totally disagreed with me.
Yeah, I was like, bullshit. Some indie game. Who gives a shit?
Well, I think the burning question is, how does Plants vs. Zombies look on that?
I've clicked on it and was like, I should install that. I've only put like 60 hours into it. I could put a little bit more. I think I do want to play. I did install Don't Starve, and I've put 81 hours into that game. I think that I pulled it up. I was like, I can't do this. The addiction is too much.
Are you going to give Team Fortress 2 a try someday, or?
I think I'm ready now.
So
my offer still stands to run around and heal you.
Thank you. I having I know that this isn't comparable, but having put dozens and literally dozens of hours into the child killing third person shooting simulator Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare, I think I'm ready to try out the training wheels of TF2.
I agree. Totally agree.
Yeah, I think you're overestimating the difficulty there. There's complexity, I guess, but not difficult.
Like once I get into a class, it shouldn't be like, once I find which class I like, it shouldn't be that difficult.
People talk about TF2 as if the community is so hardcore and it's been going for so many years that you just can't get back into it. I think those people haven't played TF2. Like,
okay, good.
It's not an easy game. Like you do have to figure out what the fuck's going on. But you can figure it out, and you find a class that supports your kind of play. Like the classes are pretty smart and very varied. If you're paying attention to both what the characters can do and how you're playing and when you're successful, then I think you could get in and do pretty good, without much time getting used to the game.
I also think that once a month we talk about Team Fortress 2, and I talk about how afraid I am to play it. So I need to just sack up and play it. That's just all there is to it. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll let you guys know, and then I will. So
we could have a Principled Uncertainty day where we all play.
I have been talking about that. That'd be great. I'd love to have a Team Fortress day. That'd be great. So we really only have time to discuss. Like, we can talk about PAX, because there's one thing I definitely want to talk about from PAX, and that is the announcement of Saints Row Gat Outta Hell.
Mm-hmm.
What are people are both excited and not excited about it, as is true of the internet on every issue. So what's the general temperature of the room here on the Principled Uncertainty podcast about Saints Row, another Saints Row game-ish thing that is not a full title? I'll call on someone. I'm the host. I should call on someone. Jeremy, you. It's been a while since I jumped into you. So what's your take on Saints Row overall?
Honestly, the the article I was reading said if you haven't played Saints Row 4, smack yourself in the face.
I
And
think the
I
game
haven't
would say
touched
that
any
as
of the
well.
Saints Row games, so I don't know. Seeing the trailer, I did watch the trailer for Gat Out of Hell, and I was like, oh, well, that game looks really, really fun. I had no idea. I just thought it was a cheap ripoff of GTA, and I never touched it.
Dude, Saints Row the Third is like the perfect video game.
Is that my starting point? Is that my jumping off point?
I've never played Saints Row 1 or 2. Play Saints Row the Third, and the first 10 minutes of that game are, let's say 20 minutes. The first hour of that game is like the most fun in a video game I have ever had, I think. When you think about I'll just say a couple things. The bank heist, amazing. The airplane stuff, amazing. And then getting into Steelport, amazing.
It also has the best level of any video game ever. Deckers Must Die.
Deckers Die is the best.
Also, crucially, if you play Saints Row 4, you won't be able to go back to Saints Row 3, I think.
True. Yeah, I agree with that.
Also, the best Kanye West moment in that.
Absolutely.
I still respect Kanye West only because that song is in Saints Row the Third. That's the only thing that still has me having any respect for Kanye West at all, because Power is in Saints Row the Third in that one level.
So my response to the Gat Out of Hell or whatever is kind of abject silence. I have not played Saints Row the Fourth yet. Saints Row 3, I think, is one of the best video games, period. I love it. But looking at the DLC they released for it, it wasn't clear to me they understood why it was good. Now, Saints Row, correct. Like, it was an amazing game. The first two games, by all accounts, are not.
No, they're just like
they
are
also
their
way.
But they found their way, and then the DLC immediately following it, again, a fart sound.
Sure.
It seemed...
That actually is one of the DLCs you could download the fart sound pack.
I actually think a fart sound was their best DLC.
It should be a fart sound microtransaction. So Saints Row 4, I had no expectations for, and it seems like it's amazing. From what everyone says, I will play it at some point in time, but until I see that studio consistently makes solid games, I'm not going to make an assumption that it's good or bad.
Yeah,
I think Saints Row 4
track record, it's spotty.
They had a tall task to out over the top themselves after Saints Row 3, and in my opinion, they nailed it.
Yeah.
And I think many people's. So every time someone brings up can they do it again? I'm like, just I probably.
Yeah, I think so too.
Well, probably, but I mean, they did it again by, again, I haven't played it, but in some ways by literally doing it again, like going back to the same city and let's rework that, which is fine, like, because it worked. Like, those were obviously good choices. Again, like their DLC history.
Sure. Yeah. The 4 has a lot of, I don't know. 4 sort of works in parodies of other games in ways that didn't show up in 3, and I think is pretty great.
I think I like the first Mass Effect more because of Saints Row 4.
Remember how I was just saying that it works in parodies of other games?
Exactly.
Yeah, you kind of.
I was providing an example to support your opinion. Yeah, I think the Saints Row, Jeremy. I think 3 and 4 are. 4 definitely is not as good as 3. 3 is one of my top maybe 5 favorite video games of all time. I mean, that game is relentlessly fun. Like where they had a decision to make between like making something like good or something fun, they chose fun. Like what would be the more, like, they always made the more interesting decision in Saints Row the Third, and that made it even more fantastic and bananas.
I really felt like I've played very few games that valued my time more than Saints Row the Third.
Yeah,
there were always options, and the options made a difference. The gun upgrades, and there's a ton of gun upgrades. As silly as that seems like a thing to point out, they were significant enough that it always enhanced the experience of gameplay. Like they allowed me to overpower myself in ways that it didn't ruin the game. It was just fun. It was just a new way to explore that space.
Right. And then Saints Row 4 then goes a step further, where it's almost like you're playing with a game genie. Like you become the game genie at a certain point in that game, and it doesn't ruin it. It does not. The only thing that it renders moot is cars, but like flying around a city there's nothing more fun than that to me. So it's like all the most fun parts of Crackdown and Infamous and all like Prototype and all those games rolled into one big glop, and then like throw on some Grand Theft Auto as well.
And Riff Raff is in Saints Row 4.
Yes, Riff Raff is in Saints Row 4 as one of the DJs, which makes that maybe the best game of all time.
Right.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think my brother has both of those, so I'll probably just borrow it from him.
Dude, do yourself a favor. Those games are really super great. I love them. And Bernstein, please play 4 so we can talk about it.
Oh, I will. It's soon going to be cheap enough that at this point I'll pick it up. You know, I consider day 1, but at this point I'll wait for day 572 when it's super cheap.
Yeah, do like a Keith Olbermann when he did that with the days since Mission Accomplished was